right. So another thing I want to talk about is inflation with game prices. Again, back in the days, game prices were around $50. So in the late '80s, $50 game is equivalent to $109 in today's money. So think about that. You pay at $109 back in the '80s. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like today. Would you pay $109 for a $60 game today? I mean, you would be like, hell no, that's crazy. But
so I would be a lot more
hesitant
to buy a game. So I've gone on record and said that I would have paid $100 for The Witcher, like The Witcher 3. I would have paid $100 for The Witcher 3 or something like a Fallout, but I would not be buying as many games. Yeah, I would not be buying as many games, which is the reason why microtransactions exist. They know Americans are like that, so they're giving us different options to do so.
Like I said, certain games, like I said, I will pay $100 game for Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I will pay $100, no problem to buy, because I know I'm getting my money's worth, and I've gotten my money's worth from it. So yeah. So in the late 1990s, a $50 game is equivalent to $81. Again, $80 for a video game, I'm gonna be a little bit more prudent about how I spend my money as compared to $60. I will buy a game and probably not even play it. I've done that. I'm sure you've done it as well. $80, $100 game, not so much.
I'm going to be everything at that price,
or a lot more frugal with that. Right. All right. So switching gears a little bit, let's get into one of the way games evolve. One of the way games have evolved today is games as a service. This is it's new, but it's not new. I'm going to give you a little bit of history about it. So, in its simplest form, gaming as a service was around since the arcade days. Think about it. You have to put a quarter in every time you want to continue playing the game. We've all done it. Those of us who are old enough to remember the arcade model, where we had to go to the big arcade. We had them in the malls. There were all the old arcade machines there. If you're too young to remember those, look it up. Look up some documentaries about it. It was actually a golden era of gaming for me. I love going to the arcades, popping in the quarters and playing video games. But that's a different topic. But yeah, so that was gaming as a service in the simplest form back then. And then the next way it evolved was when we went to the PC, we got expansion packs. I remember when those first, started to kick around. And then more so to the modern day, was more so evolved on the Xbox 360. That's when the term microtransactions was coined on the 360. So we've seen transactions, I believe, in Halo, I think Gears of War. So you can thank Microsoft and the Xbox 360 for giving us microtransactions in today's
from a console standpoint.
From a console standpoint,
did it come in mobile form first? Microtransactions. I want to say that it came in mobile form.
It probably was in mobile.
It transferred over to console. But Microsoft or that platform lended itself to making that possible.
Correct. Yep. And now let's switch gears and talk about what we think about the future of gaming. So one of the things that I would like to see is subscription gaming. Actually, we have seen subscription gaming, just to give you a brief explanation, it's you pay monthly for the game or for whatever service that is. Instead of paying full price for the game, I may pay $9.99 for the game and then I'll have it for life or however long I continue to pay that monthly service. Now, EA has already talked about doing this on some of the games. I think obviously it would be very good for EA to do that with their sports games like Madden. Yeah. Instead of putting out a new Madden every game, you put out a base Madden game, and then I pay either a yearly price or monthly fee. And I get updates to it, updated rosters, uniforms, or whatever they want to do with that. So I personally would like to see subscription model become more standard. I think we kind of have that with our MMOs for the most part.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. So it's per game that you're thinking about.
I was thinking of per game. Yes.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think we're seeing it a lot with. I think what Game Pass is sort of like that in a way. You're getting a lot of games, and I think that's where the industry should shift should shift to, but I don't know. Then we're gonna have this issue where there's gonna be a bunch of providers, like kind of like how cable is going right now. Like you have Netflix, you have Hulu, there's Vudu. I think there's so many different ways to get your movies, and they're not just all in one place. But with what Microsoft is trying to do, I think even that could work out. They're just trying to be platform agnostic, so just have their services on anything possible. But yeah, I like that idea too, like paying $9.99 for a month for Madden. So when I'm done with it, I could just easily cancel the subscription.
Right, and if you think about it from a game developer publisher standpoint, if I pay 6 months for that, I've already paid for the game. And then there's people who are hardcore who's going to go beyond that. And guess what? As a game developer, I done up my profit just like that. So from a development standpoint, from a game developer standpoint, your potential to profit from that is huge, you know, because there will be a lot of people out there who will continue to pay monthly for the game. Like if you told me that if I only had to pay, if Zelda was free and I just paid $5.99 a month for that game, I would have paid more than $60 for that game by now.
Yeah.
You know, easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
I will probably still be paying for it because I'm not done with it.
All right, I'm not done with it either. So
yeah, I would still probably be paying for it. Yeah. And it again, I don't see anything wrong with that model. And it gives it'll not only will it make me more frugal with or make me choose which games I want, but I think that for developers it'll work out in the end for them if they did adopt something like that, or what Microsoft is doing with Game Pass. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Oh, and on that point, I think Nintendo is actually so I'm hoping Nintendo is actually going to do something like that. Nintendo has such a good backlog. If they said that you can have the entire NES backlog of our games for $9.99 a month, I would jump all over it. I would jump all over it. Like, I would be all over it. And I wouldn't even play them half the time. Like, so they'd just be making money off of me. Like, I don't watch Netflix all the time. Netflix is just making money off of me
exactly.
right now.
I mean, I may watch one Netflix show a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. So that service model I think will be definitely beneficial for the developers and publishers. So, if they're not listening, you guys need to jump on that, because that's really where you can actually expand your market and just, you know, expand your profit as well. So I think they should really jump on that model.
Yeah, that would be a good model. I think they're all kind of exploring it right now. Sony has their cloud-based gaming. I think Sony's is probably going to be the worst of the three. Because it is cloud-based. When I did have it, I tried it, and when I did have it, there was latency. I think the way Microsoft is doing it is the best way possible right now, because it lets you download the game onto your machine, and if you were to cancel service, you just don't have access to it anymore. I don't know. I wish Sony went with something like that instead, but they didn't.
See, I would have thought that they would have learned from online, you know, trying to stream your game, so you know that latency issue it is still there. Like I said, I like the way Microsoft is doing it, where I download it and I don't have to worry about the latency issue. So I definitely like that approach way better than having to stream it. But I do think Microsoft is trying that, and I don't know if I think they just recently bought some company. I could be misquoted, but I thought I read something where they bought some company who had that kind of tech or something.
Cloud-based gaming.
I think cloud-based gaming. I think they're trying to get into that. So
I think cloud-based gaming is way further in the future than maybe they thought at the time. I think it's something that you should invest in. I don't know about deploying it right now because of where, like, there are some areas who get Google Fiber where that service is probably dope. But me, I got Spectrum, and it fluctuates. The speeds fluctuate, and it's not always fast. So having the ability to download something onto my machine and have it there, and I can't imagine that doesn't save them a little bit of money, because those cloud-based servers can't be cheap when you're interacting with your server, when your customers interacting with your service all the time. But
the only issue I have with cloud-based gaming is, like I said, the latency. There's no way you can get around it, and for games like fighting games and even shooting games, first-person shooters, just that couple frames could cause me, to be at a disadvantage. Especially, it definitely won't it definitely is not for the professional gamers. But even those of us sitting at home playing online against somebody, missing a frame or two to time that 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 fighting combo will cost us an L online. And for some of us, no, though we care about our wins and losses online.
I don't know. I think cloud-based gaming is. I think it's an awesome concept. The concept is awesome, but I think practicality is gonna play a big part here. Like you can't expect people to play fighting games via a cloud-based service.
Correct.
I think what Microsoft doing is going to be the way that we're going to do it in the near future or for the foreseeable future until cloud-based gaming or until internet speeds get to a point where it's not gonna. But I think even then, like our visuals are growing at a pace where it's gonna be hard to transmit that much data over the internet. So I don't know. I think what Microsoft is doing is the way to go right now.
Yep. All right, and moving on to crossplay. It's been in the news a little bit lately. I think there are a lot of people out there who want crossplay gaming. There is a recent comment from Phil Spencer and Fortnite developer. They actually want crossplay. They actually were a couple tweets sent out by the two of them. So Phil Spencer replied to a user asking him, "Do we know about getting crossplay?" And Phil Spencer was like, "Me too." And then the Fortnite came on and said, "We three." So it's definitely a want for crossplay gaming. What do you think about it, and what do you think what's going to happen?
So yeah, I think crossplay is something that's gonna happen. Like I think it's needs to happen, and I think it's gonna happen. From a, I don't know what. So literally, the only company that is holding this back is Sony. Even Nintendo has a Microsoft game on their console, and it can play with PC, and I think it could play even with Xbox players. So, and I'll have to check that. I'm sure it can play with Xbox players as well. But Nintendo's on board, Sony. So like, I don't know what their holdup is from a business standpoint. I don't know what they're afraid of. Are they afraid that Microsoft is going to start eating into what they're doing? Are they afraid that their hardware is going to be less appealing if it happens? I'm not sure where their mindset is with this.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either as to why they don't want to do it. So it'll be interesting to see why they're so hesitant to jump on this.
And what's funny is in the past they said they are on board with it. So I think it's just I think maybe it's just older people at that company like just holding on to a tradition of it's us versus them at all costs, no matter what it is. Even like I think us versus them has changed over time. Like I think the relationships between these companies have changed because they're all really doing something a little bit different than each other. Like Nintendo's doing its own thing.
Right.
Microsoft is trying to do platform agnostic things, and Sony's still doing the hardware thing. So I don't know. I don't know. I think it's something that has to happen, or I really want it to happen. Like I would really want to play with anybody. Like just knowing that I can play with anybody and let your exclusives talk.
Right.
If anything, like I don't know.
And wouldn't it be cool to get these grand tournaments where you could say PS4 players versus Xbox players?
Yeah.
Just huge bragging rights. That'd be pretty cool. PC won't count in first person shooters, so they kick ass. But in any other way,
like even then, like
I would still want to play against them. You know?
And I think that there's a elegant way to handle like playing with PC players. Like, can't you do something where you, I think I heard a developer say this would be hard, but make it so that the PC players had to use controllers if they wanted to play with crossplay with other consoles.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if that would be hard. I think I remember watching an interview with them saying like why it would be hard, but because it's easy to trick a PC into thinking anything that you want it to do if you know how to.
Right.
So, but I think there's an elegant way to handle that.
Yeah. So that would be pretty cool. I think everybody else is on board except you, Sony.
Yeah.
Get your asses in gear. Come on.
I don't know what Sony is. I just can't think of a good business reason. Like right now, just being the good guy is so beneficial for your company, and Sony's just at this very moment they're like the bad guy when it comes to crossplay. Like I don't know why Can you think of any reasons why, from a business standpoint, why? Yeah, I don't know.
I can't really think of anything at this point. No.
I don't think PlayStation is selling well because because of its. I don't even think it's selling well because of its hardware. To be honest with you, I think it's selling well because they had games. They had indie games. They were delivering on their exclusives. I think games is what it comes down to. So,
Yep.
I don't know.
And one more topic, real quick, before we get out of here. Do we ever see a universe or a landscape where there is one unified console?
I think that would be nice, but I think the politics behind how many people are making money right now off of hardware. So Nvidia's, who's the other one? ATI.
ATI, yep.
Making these chips for them. The people who make the RAM. I think if you have one console, I can't see that it would hurt hardware sales, but that one console would have to pick a graphics card to
Correct.
And maybe that's not even true. Maybe you could have a universal platform that maybe you still picked out which hardware you wanted.
So you would think. So you would
like the Steam,
like
machine.
a Steam machine, something like that.
You still picked out how powerful your hardware was, and you put what you want in your machine. But the games and the services that were just platform agnostic, so you can get Gears of War and Zelda on the same machine.
Right.
I don't know. I think the politics behind all that will be super, super hard to get by. Like,
yeah,
super, super hard to get by. It would be awesome though.
And if so, who would be the likely hardware company to prevail? I mean, I think you could make a case for Sony and Microsoft. I think it would be harder for Nintendo. But
so what's funny is I was gonna say Nintendo.
You said Nintendo.
Yeah, because
okay.
So say for instance we gave Nintendo full reign over what they wanted to make, and like everybody was on board. Okay, Nintendo's making the hardware now. We're gonna help them. So I don't think. I wonder if Nintendo would be so heavy on making something cheaper. I think Nintendo would still be Nintendo. I said Nintendo because they make interesting hardware. I think that we need a Nintendo to push the industry forward and get something for these guys to how do we make this better, or how do we take this and do something else with
it. Yep, I see your point. Yep.
I don't see anybody doing anything crazy outside of Nintendo. Like the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 was exactly what I expected it to be. Yep. Like exactly. And the stuff that they did add on, the motion controls, Nintendo was responsible for like inspiring that.
Correct.
So I don't know. I think you could if I had to pick one company to do it, it would
want to do it, it would be Nintendo.
It would be Nintendo. Mm-hmm. If I had to pick probably the most responsible company to do it, maybe Sony, because I would want Microsoft to do the software. Mm-hmm. I think Microsoft would be responsible for the software, if anything. Yeah. Not saying that Microsoft can't make, because the Xbox One X is beautiful, but I think
Sony has a history of their hardware always being good. Yep.
And Microsoft with their software is always on point. So if I had to pick one and do the software, which is very important, I would pick Microsoft. What you said? You said you would pick between Sony and Microsoft.
I said I would make a case for Sony and Microsoft. Mm-hmm. I think for the same reasons why you would chose. I mean, I don't know if I would pick one. It would just be. I think it would just be those two. I don't see any third party player or somebody who we're not even thinking of coming in, unless you talk about somebody like a Google. But I think they're too young to even to do that. Yeah, so
they're starting to do game and stuff, but they're too early.
They're too early. So yeah, do I ever think it will happen? Probably not in my generation.
The politics, I'm just thinking about the politics, but like, there's two and I would it be even a good idea if it happened? To be honest with you,
I think it will. Yeah, the problem. See, again, when you have one, you lose competitiveness. So,
would it even be a good idea?
So like the reason why we have the Xbox One X is because we have the PlayStation 4, which was kicking Microsoft's butt. So we have the Xbox One X. So now Sony has to come back with something eventually, whatever. So
if I wanted anything to change, I would want the optics on these companies to change, because I think there is room for all of them to eat. I honestly think that I think wanting more and more and more and more is where these companies start to fall apart. So like they'll do things because they want more and more and more, and then they'll do the wrong thing because of that.
Yeah.
But I think they all can eat. I think Microsoft sales, wherever they are, I think it's 25 to 30 million consoles sold, maybe a little bit more than that. That's very respectable.
right, it's better than what they did with the previous generation.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's very respectable. I think Sony's just killing it right now because they had Microsoft handed them a decent hand start with what they did.
right, exactly. That's Microsoft's fault.
And I think even what they were trying to do at first wasn't bad. I think the communication on what they were doing was the horrible, horrible mistake that they made.
Yeah.
Because I don't see anything wrong with a download-only console. And as long as you are telling your customers what the benefits are and their actual good benefits to it, I don't see anything wrong, because some of that stuff still exists. So like so say for instance you and your son have an Xbox. You both have a console, one in his room and one in your room. You literally only have to buy one copy of Call of Duty, and you can share that with him.
Right.
You can still do that to this day.
Right.
And people don't know about that. They don't why wasn't that advertised?
Right.
Like if that was advertised, I think people would be looking at it the Xbox the way it was when it first started a whole different way if they would have just communicated some of these awesome features that it does have.
Yep, agreed.
But we'll see what they do next time.
Yep. All right, folks, and that is all we have for the state of gaming. This is a very interesting topic. I really enjoyed talking about it. If you enjoyed this conversation, let us know down in the comments below. Throw a like down there. If you like this series, please let us know. If you have any suggestions about things you want us to talk about, dive into deeper, please leave that down in the comments below. I want to thank you again. I have been Jamocha. You can follow me on Twitter at SNJamocha.
You can follow me on Twitter at CharliePinkSN.
You can follow Sounds Nerdy on Twitter at Sounds Nerdy. And make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. And while you're at it, make sure you hit that bell so you can get notified when we put out new content. And until the next video, guys, stay nerdy.
Take care.